Hi, it's Mr. Kane here, and this little clip's about the heart. A very important part of all of us is the heart, and it is kind of complex, but we're going to try and make it as simple as possible so that you can follow the journey of blood through the heart and then know what the different parts of the heart are and what they do. So welcome to the heart, and you can sort of see it beating away inside your chest there. So, anatomy, or how it's put together. It's simply it's a chunk of muscle, like what's in your arm or your leg. It's just a bit of muscle, but it happens to be hollow, so it can have blood inside it. It's just to the left of the centre of your chest. So here's the centre of the chest, just to one side, the way it sort of hangs to one side, just inside behind your sternum here. And it's about the size of your fist. So your fist is about the same size as your heart, hanging just inside your chest. And it's got 4 different parts called chambers. So let's go meet some more of the heart. So here's our chambers of the heart. If I was to simply sort of like divide it into quarters, there's our 4 chambers. We've got what's called atrium. We don't say atriums, we say atria, which is plural, and it's simply a collecting chamber on the top of the heart. And then we've got ventricle or ventricles, and this is a pumping chamber. So 4 chambers, divide the heart into quarters, 2 collecting chambers, 2 pumping chambers. And here we go. So the right atrium, okay, right one up here, collects blood from the body. Blood goes into it. In we go. That's where it comes from. And then the lower right pumps it out to the lungs. So it collects from the body and it goes to the lungs. It's not very far to the lungs from the heart, so this side is a bit smaller than the other side. The other side, the left atrium, it's collecting it in from the lungs, and then the lower left is sending it to the whole of the body. It's a whole body. It's quite a bit up to the head, down to the toes, so that's quite a bit bigger than the other side. Now you may have also noticed that on the diagram the left is written on the right side and the right is written on the left side. Sounds confusing, but this is just labelled as it would be hanging inside you. So let's look at a sort of a more anatomically correct diagram of the heart. So as it really looks like if we were to slice it sort of mostly in half. So we've got 4 chambers. So we've got, where are we? One there, one there, one there, one there, and those chambers are the right atrium, the left atrium, the left ventricle, and the right ventricle. Okay, so look at that again. So right atrium is this top chamber there. Left atrium is that top chamber there. Left ventricle is this pumping chamber on that side, and that leaves this side here is the right pumping chamber. It's got 4 valves. Okay, so we've got, where are we? 1, 2, 3, 4 valves. We have a tricuspid valve here, which is between the right atrium and the right ventricle. We have the mitral valve, which is the same thing on the other side, the valve between the atrium and the pumping chamber. We have, where is it? We have the pulmonary valve, which is the valve going out from the ventricle to the lungs. And we have the aortic valve, which is this one here, where it leaves the left ventricle for the body. So 4 valves. We've got veins bringing blood to the heart. So we have the vena cava, the great vein, superior vena cava because it's coming from the top part of the body, inferior vena cava coming from the bottom part of the body, bringing blood into the atrium here. That's bringing blood from the body into the heart. The other vein is bringing it in from the lungs. It's the pulmonary vein bringing it in from the lungs. So there's the word pulmonary there, to do with the lungs. Pulmonary vein comes in from the lungs. And then we've got arteries carrying the blood away from the heart. We have the pulmonary artery carrying it away to the lungs, and we have the aorta carrying it to the body. We have the ascending aorta, which goes up this way, and this all goes to the head, and then there's the other part, the descending aorta, which goes in behind down here, and actually goes down behind the heart. So descending aorta, it takes it down to your rest of your body, your arms and your legs and all that sort of stuff. Okay, valves. These are really important, stopping the blood going the wrong direction. So 2 kinds of valves in your heart. The first is the really super strong ones between the atria and the ventricles, the AV valves. So that's stopping blood going back from the ventricle into the atrium and back around the wrong way. And these are really strong, and they're reinforced with these strings. Okay, you ever heard someone plucking on your heartstrings? Well, you got some. These are these things here, little strings that are attached to little bits of muscle in the heart, and that's called the chordae tendineae, your heartstrings. The other valves are your semilunar valves, and these are actually little sort of pockets, little flaps of tissue on where the ventricles leave or send the blood out through the arteries to the lungs and to the body. So these are little pocket flaps that stops the blood flowing back the wrong way. So when the heart stops pumping and the blood tries to come backwards, it inflates these little pockets and they simply fall open, and then they seal off and stop the blood flowing through them. So what's going on in the heart? What's happened? Step by step, the journey of blood through the heart. Part 1. Blood from the body, blood from the lungs is filling up the atrium. Now we've got 2 pumping chambers, but they work at the same time. So when one side is filling, the other side is filling. When one side is pumping, the other side is pumping at the same time. So blood's filling up the atrium. So the beat begins when the heart muscles relax and blood flows into the atria on top of the ventricles. Step 2. Okay. The atria contract, the valves are forced open, and blood flows into the ventricles. The ventricles have also relaxed and allow the blood to flow into it. So we've come from the atrium here, it's sort of squeezed a bit, and the blood's come down here into the ventricle. It happens on both sides at the same time. Then the valves close to stop blood going backwards. Now that sort of happens as the ventricles start to pump. So the ventricles here start to squeeze in a bit, and this valve here is forced to be shut. So now the blood has to go out through the arteries. The pulmonary one on this side to the lungs, and this is the aorta on this side going to the body. Out it goes. Now at the same time as the ventricles are squeezing, so these guys are squeezing in here, the ventricles squeezing in, that triggers the atria to relax, and the blood flows in, and they begin to fill up again, and that's our cycle starting again, and away we go again. Now, if you've ever listened to a heart, you've laid your head on someone's chest and you're listening to this bum 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 bum, very relaxing sound. What is that sound? You've got this lub-dub sound, and that's caused by the blood speeding up and slowing down and the vibration of the closing of the valves of your heart. Okay, the first one, that lub of the lub-dub, is caused by the closing of those valves that go back from the between the ventricles and the atria. They get buffed shut. The second sound is the blood whooshing through, and then the valves closing in the arteries, the pulmonary artery and the aorta. When those valves close, we get the dub sound. So lub dub as these things close. So the first one is the valves between the ventricles and the aorta, giving us our lub sound, and the next ones are these ones that are up the arteries leaving the heart. That's the dub sound, lub dub, lub dub. And as it says on the label here, normal heart. If you've got issues with heart valves and you've got blood leaking through here either direction, forced back through, you'll get, it won't be quite such a clear lub, there'll be a bit of a whoosh to it as well if the blood leaks through the wrong direction. So that's our journey through the heart. I hope that's been helpful. If you got lost, go back, rewind the video, replay it. Okay, try again. It's 4 chambers, 2 pumps working together, sending blood around your body. 2 pumps, 4 chambers, 4 valves, and veins bringing blood to the heart, arteries bringing blood away from the heart. So I hope that's been helpful.